Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Whereas now you're taking actions, and it can help you brainstorm. It can help you get closer to where you need to be, to where, like, one of my favorite quotes is patient with the results, impatient with actions. So it's like you're impatient about doing things and you're patient about the results. AI can close that gap between you doing nothing and taking action in the business. Using AI to crunch the numbers on those types of things and send the right offer at the right time to the right customer. Yeah. Now that's possible, whereas before that would take like a NASA level data scientist to pull off. Now you have it in your back pocket. Right around 2013 was when all of these kind of SaaS products started coming along, software as a service, and you could buy off the shelf a routing piece of software or payroll software or job clocking software. And you can cobble these things together and automate many aspects of your business.
Hello and welcome to the How to Exit podcast, where we introduce you to a world of small to medium business acquisitions and mergers. We interview business owners, industry leaders, authors, mentors, and other influencers with the sole intent to share with you what it looks like to buy or sell a business. Let's get rolling. And now a moment for our sponsors. This episode of How to Exit is brought to you by Final Ascent, the boutique M&A firm helping lower middle market business owners achieve their ultimate exit. At Final Ascent, they know selling your business is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, and they've been in your shoes. Their team isn't just made of advisors. They're experienced business owners who have successfully navigated their own exits. Final Ascent specializes in preparing businesses for sale, building value, and connecting with a national network of qualified buyers who will compete for your business. They don't take on a client unless they're confident they can sell your business at the current market maximum value. Whether you're ready to sell now or planning for the future, they'll craft a roadmap tailored to your unique goals so that you can walk away with maximum value and a peace of mind. Start your journey today at Final Ascent. That's www.finalascent.com, because your next chapter starts with a successful exit. I want to highly recommend you get Acquisition Aficionado magazine. Every month, Acquisition Aficionado magazine brings you tactics for business buying and selling you won't find anywhere else. Learn firsthand from industry leaders who share their success stories, featuring in-depth interviews and stories from leading figures in the business acquisition industry. This multi-platform mobile magazine speaks to acquisition entrepreneurs wherever they are in the journey. And I want you to visit acquisitionaficionado.com today. Hello and welcome to the How to Exit podcast. Today I'm here with Bryan Clayton, and he is the CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, a platform they described it as the Uber for lawn care. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for being here, Bryan.
Ron, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So I always start with the origin story. I always start with kind of the background so people can get to know you, like you, and get connected with you. I know you're running GreenPal now. Talk about how you got to the startup and your background a little bit, because there's some interesting things that I know about you that other people should too.
Yeah, so before I started GreenPal, which is kind of like the Uber for lawn mowing, I actually had a lawn mowing business. I have been involved in the landscaping business pretty much my whole life. And I wasn't born like an entrepreneur or a business owner. The reality is I was forced into it by my father, who got tired of watching me play Nintendo all day. I remember one day in like 1995, I was playing Super Mario Kart, and he was upset that I was playing like 9-10 hours a day. He said, "Hey, get off your butt. I talked to the neighbors. They need somebody to mow their yard." And I said, "Well, I don't do that. I don't mow yards." He said, "Well, you do now." And my dad was a military guy. This was not a request. This was a direct order. And so he dragged me next door, And I'll never forget it. We mowed the yard together. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but he started pointing out all the areas I missed, and then a light bulb went off. I got paid $20 for like 2 hours of work, and I thought, man, wait a second, this is amazing. I can just go get more of these and put them together and make as much money as I want. I'm just going to do this. And I made some flyers, passed them around the neighborhood, and that first summer I had like 20 customers mowing their yards every week. And little by little stuck with that lawn mowing business through high school and through college, and eventually growing that into a real company. Eventually it got to about 150 employees.
Wow.
And then in 2014, it was acquired by a big national company that runs these landscaping businesses all over the country.
It's interesting because kind of how I've been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. And one of my first entrepreneur gigs was mowing lawns, actually. I had an older cousin, about 2 or 3 years older than me, that lived nearby. And him and I were into the video games, and the local gas station had both one called Dig Dug and Centipede, or Wizard of War. They switched Dig Dug for Wizard of War. But every dollar we could find, we fed into those machines. We hung out there and we drank Slurpees and played this video game. We made that guy rich. Well, one of the neighbors one day, he broke his leg or something, couldn't mow his lawn, so he asked me if I could mow the lawn. And I was in 3rd grade, so I'm this tiny cat, my nickname back then was Scrawny Ronnie. Nobody calls me that now. I'm as big as 2 men. But I was this little bitty skinny rel of a kid. And he said, who do you know that can mow my lawn? So I called my cousin up and I said, let's come down here. I'll weed eat a lawn. I'll grab that weed eater. You grab my dad's mower. There's 2 doors down. This guy's going to give us $30 to mow his, or $25 or something like to mow his lawn. And I'll split it with you. We'll go play the game because he's always done there. He's nice. The reason I could go to the gas station at that age because he would go with me, right? He's an older kid. So we mowed that lawn and we went down and spent it instantly. Like we mowed the lawn, threw the stuff in my dad's garage. Didn't even close the garage door. Ran down to the there and put every dollar we had into that machine. And then that light bulb went off. By the time we were done, my dad and my uncle, my cousin's father, were begging us to stop because they had to come help us mow. We had sold so many lawns we couldn't get them all done.
I love it.
And they're
it's
like,
an awesome way to learn what it means to run a business.
And in Oklahoma, the summers get to 105, 110 with 80% humidity. So there was like my parents were like, my dad was like, "You've got to stop this. This is horrible," right? So they made us shut it down. But then we moved out into the woods in the country and like in the middle of nowhere, 5 miles from town. And when I was older, I had another adventure into lawn mowing. I asked my dad to work for him. At this point, he had a painting company. He painted houses. And he said I was too young to work for him. So when he went to town, I strapped his push mower to the back of my bicycle and pedaled it into town with gas stations tied to it and everything else, and a weed eater. I strapped everything and like bungee corded and tied it to the lawnmower and put that on my bicycle and drug it 5 miles into town and went door to door, started mowing lawns. And I didn't even tell him. He didn't even know I was doing it. And so in the story, I got bit by a dog, and the cops called my dad because I got bit by a pit bull. They bit my legs, and the dad asked to talk to me to the cop when they were saying he's okay, but he did get bit. He needs to go to the doctor. And the cop had to tell my dad, well, he can't get to the phone right now. He's over finishing the lawn. He's mowing, right? The guy had paid me and left. He paid me like $35, and back then that was a lot of money. And he'd already left, so I'm going to finish his lawn. And, the cop was taking care of the dogs. So that's how I got to go to work for my father in the painting business. He's like, if you're old enough to do that, it's probably safer you're just with me.
That, you come work for me.
So, but
I love it. It's a great business to learn 90% of what you're going to need for any business.
Right.
You learn stuff like customer service and how to keep track of expenses and how to make money by paying somebody else to do the labor and you do everything else. It's one of those ways to learn most of everything you're going to need to know for almost any business. And I love when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, my first business was a lawn mowing business. And I kind of stuck with it. I stuck with the same thing that I knew for now 25 years. And it's taken me places that I would have never been able to go in life. So I'm fortunate that my dad forced me to mow my first yard.
But so let's go into, so you sold that. What was the process of selling your landscaping business? What was the trigger that made you want to sell it? And then kind of how did you go about selling it?
Yeah, it was interesting building that business from just me and a push mower to me and 3 or 4 employees, and then me, 5, 10 years later, I woke up one day and I had 30 crews going out every day, and I thought, man, this is actually getting to be a big business. And one of the things that was happening as I was growing that business was that I was evolving as a new person every year or two, because the business was requiring me to learn new skills and take on new challenges and evolve and grow alongside it. And that was kind of like a fulfilling, rewarding thing. I didn't even really realize it at the time, but that was something I was getting fulfillment from the business. And I guess it was about year 15 that kind of plateaued. I had kind of grown it to, I'd gotten over the 8-figure mark, and I had managers in place and salespeople in place, and it was kind of running like a well-oiled machine.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Almost to a point, that it could run without me, and I was getting bored being in the business. I guess I had hit a point of burnout. And so I decided, well, I'm going to explore the opportunity. Maybe somebody would buy this business. And I found a business broker that specialized only in the landscaping industry. And he met with us, and he said, you got a lot of work to do to get this business ready to sell. There was a lot of things that I didn't realize that you had to have in place, and different types of ways the business was to be structured, and accounting practices and things like that. So it took about a year to get all of that straightened out, and then about another year to sell it. And then after I sold it, it was a weird thing. It was like a piece of me was missing. I had ran the business for so long that it was a part of my identity. It was a part of like why I got out of bed in the morning. It was a part of like who I was. And now that was gone. And so I had to go through this like identity crisis where, what do I do now? I didn't really want to start another business, but I thought, well, maybe I could be a tech entrepreneur. And I'm pretty sure somebody's going to build like an Uber for lawn mowing. Maybe that could be me. And so I recruited 2 co-founders and started working on the next thing.
Well, that's interesting because quite a few people experience what you experience, right? It's like when I got out, even in a smaller scale, when I got out of the real estate business, I knew I didn't want to go back into real estate. I transferred basically my business partner is the one who acquired it. So he took over the business. We split the real estate up. So it wasn't like a huge cash flow. Like I didn't get any big influx of cash, but I owned quite a few rentals. It was making decent money. And I sat there and like, what am I going to do next? We tie so much of our identity. Right. That's another reason why I went through that self-help program is why am I tying who I am with what I do? It just wasn't logical for me. We all do it. If I go out and ask, if I sit at the coffee shop and I ask 10 people, like, who are you? They'll tell me what they do. And they won't say, hey, my name's, Bryan. They'll say, or they might say I'm Bryan, but, they'll say, oh, I do landscapes. Like, hey, who are you? And they'll say, well, I do landscaping. Like, no, what's your name, first of all, right? And, what do you enjoy doing, right? And it's
an interesting thing. It's a weird thing, but you're right. It's like, I don't know if it's our culture, but that's where we derive purpose, is what our vocation is. And for me, it was kind of like, why is it important for me to get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning? Mm-hmm. And the reason was, well, if you don't, there's 90 plus guys at the shop who are going to be waiting for you to get directions from you. There's customers that are going to need you. There's vendors that need you. And like my business was the reason why I got out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. And when that was gone, there was really no answer to that question. Why is it important you get out of bed early in the morning? And so I had to kind of create that again now with GreenPal. It's like, okay, now I have that all over again, where it's important for me to get up, be sharp, and feel good and have energy because of all of these people that count on me to perform. So I think it's a natural thing. I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing, but I certainly can't break away from that my business is the reason why I have to be tuned up and ready to go every morning.
One of my military buddies, he did landscaping out of once he got out of the military. Like, he went from military intelligence, because that's what we did, top secret military intelligence stuff, to owning a landscaping business in Florida, and he was doing really well with it. But his biggest problem is keeping great workers around and knowing where they were there mowing and stuff. I'm leading up to the question of, did you have at 90 people roaming around and mowing lawns? Did you already have tech enabled? Do you have GPS trackers in their car? Could you tell where they were? Did you give route planning, any type of software involved, or was it all paper?
These days, I think business in many ways is probably easier than it's ever been, because back in those days, early 2000s, no, we didn't have any of that. That stuff might have been accessible, but it was super expensive, and it just really wasn't reliable. And so, no, it was all manual. It might have been Yahoo Maps or MapQuest printouts and spreadsheets and clipboards and Post-it notes, and just kind of organizing it all, and in this kind of organized chaos type of way. And when it got up to 150 people, it was almost more than I could handle. And when I sold the business and transitioned into becoming a tech entrepreneur, I saw all of these ways that I was making life harder than it needed to be, because right around 2013 was when all of these kind of SaaS products started coming along, software as a service, and you could buy off the shelf a routing piece of software or payroll software or job clocking software, and you can cobble these things together and automate many aspects of your business. And I was kind of running the business in the 90s all the way up until 2013. Like my mindset never really kind of shifted. And I still see it even to this day, business owners in 2024, 25 that are still running like they're in the 90s. So I think there's an opportunity, especially now with AI, for business owners to kind of get into the latest type of software, latest type of technology to make their life easier.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And also improve the customer experience. So for me, it was always kind of like a whack-a-mole type of thing. Okay, what is the biggest problem we have in the business at this month, and let's just spend 90 days on it and build a system to solve it until we can, and then we move on to the next one. And you mentioned, employee turnover, employee training. That was a big bottleneck for us. And I realized I had to create Landscaper University. I had to create, a series of training modules to bring somebody up to speed that had never mowed a yard before, who had never planted a bush before, had never pruned a shrub before. How do I train them from here to master gardener in 6 weeks? So that was where we spent a lot of time was training and being able to get somebody up to speed quickly.
I'd imagine that. And then, today I've demoed quite a few. We even tried one or two of them for my little pest control company I owned for a while. But today they actually have, if you have a tablet or a smartphone, there's apps that set right on there that has GPS tracking. They'll do rerouting if a customer,
much easier than it used to be.
Yeah, customer cancels on you, you can reroute, or they can send you a message, and you can send a message to a customer and say, hey, I'm running 5 minutes behind, and it's all, it's all in there, and it ties right into your accounting software, so it just feeds right into your QuickBooks and everything. They're a little proud of them. Like, for a small company, it was like $200. The one we was using, they went like $225 per user, and for a while there, like we tried it out, but then we just at some point decided it wasn't worth it, went back to paper because we were too small for it.
That's what a lot of small business owners run into, is that by the time you add all these tools up, you can easily get over $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. And then next thing you know, all your profits going out the door paying for these tools. And you have to really you have to try everything on the market and then pick out the best setup for you.
Mm-hmm.
And most business owners like get burnt out, but when the first or second one doesn't work, because it's like they're sold this promise that this will solve all of your problems as a handyman or as a lawn care guy or as a painter or as a pest control operator. And this happened to me when I was running my landscaping business. I would try one, I'd get burnt out on it, and then I would say, well, screw that. And what I learned when I had to build software was actually, man, you got to try them all, and like just give them each 2 weeks, and then just pick the one that you want to go all in on. And that's a lot of work. That's Saturdays and Sundays ripping this out and putting this in. So it's just kind of one of those things, like it's a lot of upfront work, and then you don't see the benefit until like month 6 or year 2. But it was eye-opening when I started building software that, man, I could have done this for payroll. I could have done this for clocking man hours. I could have done this for vehicle maintenance, and instead of just doing it all by hand.
If you think back when you started, one of the biggest problems you'd have if you tech-enabled a lawn care business is most of your workers aren't tech-enabled, right? They're not techies, right? Nowadays, people come out of the womb with a cell phone in their hand.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
9-year-old and my 14-year-old know more about electronics than I do. They've had tablets
Exactly.
and they've had at least $2,000 worth of electronics in their hands since both of them since they were 2 years old. So between iPads and game stations and everything else they touch, but people of our generation either were tech enabled or not. It was kind of a binary switch, and most of the guys you'd be hiring didn't know how to use a tablet or a PC or a phone. So every time you make that switch, you're frustrating them because they have to learn something they're not comfortable using.
Yeah. They back in those days, there were executives that had their secretaries print off their emails, and I remember I had a business partner for a while that was the case. It was like pulling teeth to drag them into the 20th century. These days, the problem is a lot of this type of software that you use in business is not as good as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It's not as robust as these tools that they are accustomed to, and so they kind of have to like almost go backwards and be forgiving of this customer service, customer relations management piece of software that might not be as smooth as Uber is. And so that's the thing that we see with lawn care services that use GreenPal. GreenPal is great. It's built for lawn mowing services to make their life easier, make more money with less headache. But it is not as good as a TikTok or a Snapchat or as an Instagram. These are $100 billion companies. So these new 18, 19-year-old kids mowing yards and they plug into GreenPal. They're like, hey, it doesn't upload the image as quick as Instagram does, or it doesn't, the routing is not as good as when I order an Uber, I can see the car drive up. It's like, well, we don't have 2,000 engineers working on it. We have 40. And so it's like, that's the disconnect these days. It's like you have to be as good as Amazon to be able to compete.
I bet AI is changing the way you do business as far as the engineers go too, right? So
exactly, man. It's like every time you turn around, Ron, it's like it's a new. What was cool 3 months ago is like table stakes now. It's like it's very, very almost causes me anxiety in terms of like how quickly things are changing, but it's making things a lot easier. Whereas when I was first learning how to code, when I sold my landscaping business and started GreenPal, I had to teach myself how to write software. And I just look at how AI can write software in seconds, what used to take me days. And I think about the implications around that, where you can try things out. It used to be it's like, well, we don't want to try that because it'll take us a week to build it. Well, now we can build it in an hour, launch it, deploy it, see how people react to it. Do people use it? Do they not? Okay, it wasn't a success. Okay, scrap it, because the writing of the code was done, by this computer that understands code better than any engineer. And so it's exciting, but also it causes me a little anxiety, if I'm honest, because it's like now you really got to be on your A game to be able to reinvent the business and almost toss away what you might have spent years building, because now you kind of have to rebuild it from an AI first approach. And it's going to be interesting to see in the next 5 years, I think.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I think plumbers will make more than doctors. I think plumbers will definitely make more than attorneys, because a lot of this knowledge work is just going to get abstracted away.
Yeah, the latest versions of AI come out, and they're scoring higher than PhD level professionals in all those fields, and in medical and law and other stuff. So
it's wild.
Even if you're a top-ranked attorney and you pass the bar at a 97 percentile or something, congratulations, you're only as good as a $20 a month AI, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. It's kind of like you have somebody that graduated from Harvard Business School just following you around all day, and the only thing that he wants to do is make you happy. 24 hours a day. You can ask him anything. And it's just like, that's the world we now live in. And it's like, what do you do if you spent the last 10 years being a business consultant? It's like, that's going away. And so it's wild. I think if you're in the type of business where you're fixing clogged drains, you're painting houses, you're mowing yards, you're doing things that AI can't replicate, I think you're in a good place. But if you're a knowledge worker, I would be scared.
Well, if you listen to Elon, even those jobs are going to go away. He claims that there'll be over 10 billion humanoid robots by 2030. Right?
It certainly is possible. If 3 years ago, before the ChatGPT 4 came out, if you had said, "Hey, what if I told you there was this thing that you could have in your pocket and you could talk to it and you would not be able to tell that it wasn't a human?" I would have told you were crazy. But now this thing, it will talk to you like a human being. Mm-hmm. It passes that test. And so who knows what the future holds?
I have people, I use it and with the people that listen to the show, and they come, we have hangouts. So about twice a month, we had one yesterday, where people who are trying to buy business and stuff will come hang out. We'll network. We'll tell everybody who we are, what we're trying to hunt down, what we're buying. And then a lot of the guests from the show will show up and answer questions. So the whole goal is nobody leaves the meeting stuck anywhere.
Nice.
Right. So if you're stuck on somewhere on a mergers and acquisitions type of deal, come hang out with us, ask questions, and somebody in the room probably can answer them. And
nice.
AI, some of these guys have fear of talking to business owners. They don't understand how to build a rapport, and I'll give them prompts on how to use ChatGPT to role play. It's actually really good at role playing right now. And I'll show them how good it is. It's intuitive. I'll tell ChatGPT, I'll pull it up in this meeting and go, "Hey, ChatGPT, we're going to role play. You're a business owner. I'm a business acquisitions guy. You own XYZ type of company, and I want you to play the business owner and answer my questions. The goal is to build deep rapport with you and get an understanding of your business. Are you ready?" And yeah, that sounds like fun. It talks back to you, and I don't give it any more prompt. I just go ring ring, and it'll say, It'll answer the phone. It knows that ring ring means that it's supposed to answer the phone. And this thing will say, "Hello, so and so, construction company," and you role play and walk through it. And it doesn't.
That's amazing.
It'll build the backstory on the fly. Like you ask it, "Tell me, how you built the company you built," and it'll just act like it role plays like you wouldn't believe.
And so what you just laid out was, did it completely solve all the problems for you? No, but it closes the gap between where you are and getting to a solution. Mm-hmm. It's like it takes away a lot of the kind of cognitive overhead of, okay, well, first I'd have to do this, I'd have to do this, I'd have to do this. Screw it. I don't want to mess with that. It's like, no, the AI can make all of that BS go away, where it's now you're taking actions, and it can help you brainstorm. It can help you get closer to where you need to be, to where, like, one of my favorite quotes is is patient with the results, impatient with actions. So it's like you're impatient about doing things and you're patient about the results. AI can close that gap between you doing nothing and taking action in the business, because there might be something you're confused about. It's like, okay, well, I had 10 new customers last week and now none of them are signed up with me. Well, why is that? Well, have you thought about this, this, and this? Okay, yeah, I did this, I did that, but I haven't thought about that. Expand on that. Okay, well, here's a list of things you can do. And then you go to work. And so it's like it closed the gap between you doing nothing and taking action. And that's one of the things I love about it. I always use it to get unstuck, I guess you could say.
So I'll give you a couple more ways just that I use it, because I think the audience would like it, and I think it might be helpful. There's custom GPPs that you can do inside of them, right? You can actually train, and it's, you're writing code. You can definitely do this. So you can go inside and create your own custom GPT, a bot that's a little more trained on your industry necessarily than the general one would be, or in a way that you would like. So one of the ways I do this is, let's say I own a newsletter company. I'll pull down the best books, the best content. I think I can get about 15 or 20 PDFs that I can stuff in this thing. And I'll name it my newsletter board of directors. So it's a personal hidden GPT. And then when I talk to it, I'll pre-train it on all the documents I can find on it. And I'll say, when I train it to talk to it, I just like, you're my board of directors. You're a board of directors for a company that runs profitable newsletters and, publishing content. So that's the only thing. It's like, we're going to have a brainstorming session talking about current issues and stuff like that. And your job is to act like a board of advisors and give me advice and ideas. And it's brilliant what it'll come up with.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think a lot of people aren't adopting it yet because they're not willing to put in that upfront work. Yeah. They're not willing to set the context of, okay, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Here's some historical information about me. Here's what I aspire to be. And then also maybe here's some data, here's, in the context of an email subscription, here are my open rates. Here's my last 5 emails.
Mm-hmm. If
you're willing to invest that upfront work, it's a superpower. I mean, what it can do for you. I mean, it's like a $500,000 McKinsey consultant just sitting there right next to you at your desk working 24 hours a day if you're willing to put in that upfront work.
Yeah, with the new version they just released last week, and I haven't got to play with it because I'm too cheap to buy the $200 a month one. So the guys playing in the $200 a month version of ChatGPT, they're getting to see it already. But this deep research thing, I've seen the videos of it, and it looks really impressive. That's like having that McKinsey team on it's even better. So
not just one, a team.
A team, the McKinsey team, or any of the big research companies where you want to do market analysis and stuff. If you go to McKinsey and say, I'm entering in the lawn care business, I need a deep market research of the current state of the industry, where I need a strength, SWOT, I need strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I need, X, Y, and Z. It would probably cost you minimum $25,000, probably $200,000, and take them about 3 to 6 months to produce the report. Right?
And probably not be as good as what you're going to get out of working in AI correctly.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games, all for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Now with the demos I'm seeing on that deep research, you give it the same prompt. You tell it that what you're looking for the report. You give it the kind of parameters like that. It doesn't come back with an answer like that. It can take 5 to 30 minutes to respond. But when it responds, it's 5,000 word, PhD level, McKinsey level report, industry level report with sources. It gives you all the links and stuff where it found the info, and you can discard some of them if you don't like the source or whatever. It's incredible. I really think that McKinsey and those guys are in trouble because they charge $250,000 of the report, and for $200 a month, and soon I think they'll give us access down at the lower levels at $20 a month. you can rip one of those things out in 30 minutes instead of 6 months.
I think whatever the best that's out today will be the entry level commodity in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So this stuff is coming faster and faster. It seems like. One thing I've been using it a lot for is the stuff I've been lazy about. So an example in our business is we do a lot of emails for customers who use the service to get a lawn mowing done, but haven't used it in a month or haven't used it in 2 months. And we'll send them a follow-up email, said, hey, we noticed it's been 3 weeks since you had your lawn mowed. Would you like to book Joe's Lawn Care Service for another mowing? And it used to be we would send out the same email every time. And then, a year or two later, we started writing like maybe 3 or 4 emails, just so it wasn't the same email every time, because that was like spam. And then we kind of left it. I knew it wasn't great, but it's kind of one of those things. We didn't want to spend the time on writing a bunch of personalized, uniquely crafted emails. Well, now with AI, we can say, okay, hey, this is the customer. This is how many times they had Joe's Lawn Service. This is how many days it's been since they used Joe's. This is where they live. This is what people normally do there. Craft 100 follow-up emails and put them in the hopper. And so now we have a unique email every time for Mrs. Smith that is crafted for their situation. So is that like a silver bullet to double sales? No, but it's something that we've been lazy about, that now with AI, there's no excuse to be lazy about that, because we can just bang that out really quick and create a better customer experience using AI. So I think if you can start with those things that you need to do, but it's just messy, maybe it's a bunch of unstructured data or it's a bunch of spreadsheets, use the AI to kind of like to start cleaning up those things you've been deferring.
It's incredible what it's capable of and the speed to test things and deploy it. Like if I were in your space, I would try to. I'm a marketing nerd. My MBA is in marketing, but I would try things like craft an email to all the users in this guy. Like these guys' routes, right?
Right.
Like crafting an email to this guy only has 6 lawns in this neighborhood, and it's kind of expensive for him to drive over there and do that. If you only got 2, that's why I know this industry a little bit, because like I said, a military buddy of mine had it, and he called me and brainstorm all the time, and he hated picking up 1 or 2 houses in a particular neighborhood that was out of his way because of the time to unload the trucks and trailers, and so he would always try to convince his guys to go knock on the doors next door and stuff and try to get a few extra houses in the new neighborhoods, like spend a little extra time and try to get a couple more to make it worthwhile. And with your tool, you could actually, get somebody, potentially charge a premium, say, hey, you want us to help you grow your business, we'll send your existing company, you mark the neighborhoods you want to grow in, and we'll send those customers a discount code based on you if they convince their neighbor to try your mowing service, right? So they know the neighbor better than you do. And just
because if they're doing 10 yards on one street, they can do it more efficiently. They can save everybody money. They can do a better job because they're not driving all over town. Using AI to crunch the numbers on those types of things and send the right offer at the right time to the right customer.
Yeah.
Now that's possible, whereas before that would take like a NASA level data scientist to pull off. Now you have it in your back pocket.
That's impressive. There was one of the guys I was talking to. I'm trying to get him to come on the show. He sold his company. He had 80. He sold it to his business partner. He travels the world. Give you kind of background. They write software. They had 80 software engineers, and they write software for Fortune 500 companies. They write software that allows like the different SaaS tools to talk to each other. So interconnection software. So Fortune 500 company uses Salesforce and then some other thing. They come in and write the code to make the 2 APIs talk to each other. And these 80 employees, they're doing million, in the 8 figures, 10 million plus a year in revenue. So he sells it off to his business partner because he knows he can't convince those top, Fortune 500 companies to change their ways very much. And he knows with AI, he can do this so much faster and so much more efficient. He doesn't need, out of the 80 employees, he said like 15 or something of them are QA, right?
Yeah.
Testing engineers, QA engineers, and stuff like that. He doesn't need that many with AI. Basically, AI is a better QA guy and a better test engineer than most, coming off there. So he's created a competing company, going to the same customers but writing different software. So he's not really truly competing with his business partner that's caused problems, but he's doing with 8 employees and writing the same lines. He knew the lines. He knew how many lines of code they could write a week. Like they knew how complex of projects they could take on and how many lines of code the 80 employees could generate per week. And that's kind of how they regulated if they needed more guys, because this is a complex project. It's probably going to take X number of lines of code to get this done. We only have, our capacity is X. We need to hire some more people. He says he can write as many lines of code with AI and his 80 employees than those 80 people could do.
Incredible. That rule of thumb is out the window.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I think, like, if you're an elite engineer, an elite attorney, an elite consultant, top 1%, and then you understand how to leverage AI to control these things, then you're going to get most of the benefits. But if you're a mid-level engineer, a mid-level accountant, a mid-level attorney, I think you're just going to get abstracted away within the next couple of years.
Yeah, the collective intelligence of having all the different variety of customers is something that no single customer could have on their own. So if you figure out how to leverage that collective intelligence of knowing what's going on in an entire market, knowing what people charge in this neighborhood versus that neighborhood, and being able to say, look, everybody else that's mowing lawns in that yard are charging $20 or more per cut than you are.
The data is what's going to be valuable. But if you're just building a estimating tool that people pay to use, that's going away. That's going to be commodity.
Yeah, it's insane that this stuff's so out there. It's like, I don't think it'll get. I agree with him that big companies, the big Fortune 500s, will have engineers on staff that will be able to do that. Like, hey, clone this software tool and clone Salesforce, but make it do X, Y, and Z, and the AI can the AI can just get it done. I honestly think the place that's going to stick right now is the translation from what a human wants to what a computer can do. A lot of people don't know this, but when I came out of the military, I worked for Lockheed Martin as a senior test engineer. My job was to break into firewalls, and they built the systems, and I broke them. Right? Wow. I had to verify that they couldn't break, so I was kind of a little ethical hacker for Lockheed Martin for government systems. But the toughest thing to do was the requirements verification. So as a test engineer, they would get these huge requirement documents, and I had to go by and verify it line by line. Every single, I wrote, the test procedures, and I wrote them. Sometimes I'd automate them. I'd write code to do the test for me, but I had to write a step-by-step procedure for every requirement that the human had that they wanted the software to do. And a lot of times what happened is we would do exactly what those were, and we'd take it back to the military or whoever, the 3-lettered agency where we're selling the software to, and we said that, but now that we've seen it work, that's not what we really meant. What we really needed was X. But they didn't see what they needed until they seen it work. So that whole plane of games of understanding what a human wants and putting it into that software, I think, is still outside of the reach of AI. Right?
I think you're right. Yeah. And the thing I struggle with is we have 4 or 5 engineers. All they do is fix bugs. I mean, they're not building anything new. They're not doing any sort of growth engineering or anything like that. They're just making sure the site works bug free. So something that I wrap my head around is like, okay, that's great that you can speak into this prompt and it can build you a game and, it can host it on a browser and a database. That's incredible. But what about these 4 engineers I pay full time that just go in and dig through our code and fix bugs? When is AI going to abstract that away? So I think in some ways it's like we're right there, but I think a lot of this stuff, like you just said, is like what the human brain wants and what the AI can deliver. I think we're still a little ways off.
It won't be long before you'll be able to give it your turn on error log and give it your error logs, give it your source code, and just say monitor the error logs and suggest patches and bug fixes. Yeah, don't implement anything until you've got a human that blesses it, right? know. But if you see something in the log codes or see something that that doesn't work and error codes or whatever, find out where that's coming from, identify it, and make suggestions. I think it's pretty close to being able to do that now, if not already capable of it.
You're probably right, and then that's half of the developer hours.
Yeah.
And so now that you've taken, okay, 4 QA developers down to 2.
Yeah.
And at GreenPal, that's kind of what we're wanting to do. Our team's 40 to 50 people. I kind of want to double the business with the same headcount.
Yeah.
And I think every business owner at whatever stage of the game needs to be thinking like that. It's like, okay, I don't want to just, like I used to think when I was running my first company that bigger was better, more employees was better, the more people we had on the team was better. Now I think the exact opposite. I want less people on the team. Yeah. And I think if you can think that way and figure out how to do more with less with AI, I think is how every business owner needs to be thinking these days.
As a test engineer, that's one of the things that took me the longest time, is I would have to, like, something would not work according to your, what the requirements were. Then you would go look at the error logs and see if there's an error there. And if you found one, then you had to put the software into in a development mode where you could step the code and go next step. So you're sitting there for an hour. You got, on one little screen, we had multiple monitors. One screen, you got the error log waiting for something to pop up, and run the next step. And sometimes that just slowing it down caused the problem, right? You couldn't catch it because it was a raised condition that only happened if things were, one thing happened in sequence out of another. So you would sit there and run it through that, and you're like, okay, well, run the next 100 lines of code. And then, our job was that, I didn't write software or change software. I could read it. I went to software reviews all the time. I could read C and a bunch of other code that they used back then, C++ and stuff. But I just didn't sit there and program it, not for them anyway. But they, I say that I wrote a simulator while I was in, but I did it in shell commands and other stuff. But we would give the line, we would give an error log, say, here's the error coming in the log code. We're pretty sure it comes in on this particular piece of software between line 1,000 and 1,500. Somewhere in these 500 lines of code, we're 90% sure that's where the problem is. And we kick it back to the engineers, and it would take days. I think that process now would be seconds with the AI tool. It's just like, days of, it'd take me 2 days to identify, okay, it's probably right here in the code, send it up to the engineering team, and they would do a patch, and then I'd have to regression test the entire system because they changed something, right? These are military systems. You change one light item, I have to regression test the entire platform, all right? So,
now all of that can be done in minutes.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Tell me about the space you're in and the tool you've built, because we talked about a lot about what's coming in the future. We talked about AI. We talked about why you sold the company. But let's make sure everybody that's out there listening kind of knows what it is, what are the capabilities of your tool, and if somebody wants to reach out to you and stuff, let's make sure they know how to get a hold of you. Yeah,
so GreenPal solves problems for buyers and sellers in the landscaping business. So if you're a consumer, you're a homeowner, you need to get somebody to mow your yard. Normally, you would do a Google search or maybe ask a friend or something for a recommendation, and then you would dial for dollars and you would poll different lawn mowing services nearby you and say, how much is it going to cost to mow my yard? Give me an estimate. When are you available? You would kind of negotiate on the price, and then you would maybe Venmo them, and then after that you might set up schedule, and you would do all that manually. Well, with GreenPal, you enter your address one time, and then lawn mowing services nearby you get presented with a package of information about what you need: your square footage of your yard, the aerial imagery of what it looks like, street imagery of what your yard looks like, any photos you upload, and then they submit you a price back in a matter of minutes. So in 15 minutes, now you've got 5 quotes from lawn mowing services nearby you that want your business, that will be there on Thursday to come mow your yard. And then if they do a good job, you can pay them right through the app and set them up for every week or every 2 weeks. So you go from not knowing anybody to getting somebody scheduled and booked in a matter of minutes. As a lawn mowing service, it's a business in a box. It's a way to, okay, now I get connected with all the people that I need, all the customers I need. I have one system of record for all of my customers, what their preferences are, contact information, what their schedules are. I have one place to kind of store all the data around how much additional services like mulch and weeds and gutter cleaning and snow plowing. I can put all of that for every customer. So it's like a CRM. And then also marketing automation. So let's say, okay, you got Mrs. Smith booked for every 2 weeks, but she's also going to need fertilizer. She's going to need seeding. She's going to need mulch. So we're going to help you upsell those services as the year progresses, helping you make more money and not having to do that manually, because most of these guys don't even do it. And so kind of having like an end-to-end business in a box place where lawn care services can plug in and just have everything kind of taken care of, where they can just show up, do a good job for their customers and get paid quickly, is kind of all they want to do anyways. And we don't do anything else. We do just the landscaping business. We're focused on just this one use case. And now around 300,000 people use it every week for lawn mowing all over the United States.
Interesting. Now, if I'm a lawn mowing business, do I send my customers to something labeled as GreenPal, or can I have something that's white labeled with my brand and logo on it, or how does that work?
Great. Really good question. So of the lawn care services that use our platform, around 10% of them run their entire business through GreenPal. So they will send a link to their GreenPal store, which is hosted on top of GreenPal, and people can order service right through them and not get quotes from anybody else. And then they also can invite people into their GreenPal account that they kind of meet on the street, or that call them from like a Google search or something like that. They don't want to have different systems. And then most vendors use GreenPal as a way to fill in bare spots in their route, or they might have 50% of their business on GreenPal, 50% of their business on pen and paper. And then they slowly merge over maybe the slow payers onto their GreenPal account, because the system does a good job of nagging them to stay on track. And so it's all over the place. We don't want to be in the middle of that customer relationship between lawn mowing service and consumer, because we don't want to be in the lawn mowing business. We're building the platform that makes the whole thing kind of run smoother and in a more organized way. So it's part of our goal to be like the system of record and the way that Chuck in a truck, Peter in a pickup can go from 10 customers to 100 in a year without having to do all of the stuff that he normally would take to do that.
Yeah, one of the problems with scaling inside of that is having the systems and processes and people, right? One of the reasons why my buddy sold his, besides getting out of the Florida heat, is he hit a certain point where he just couldn't grow anymore because he had a hard time getting great employees to stick around and cut grass, especially in Florida, where he was. And he's like, I can't scale if I can't get good people. And every time I get a good person, they leave to go do something better that pays more, right? So
that's a big headache. And then also all of the accounts receivable. The lawn guy is the last person to get paid in the stack of household bills. And most lawn care services don't know who owes them what, and sometimes they forget to send an invoice and forget to stay on track of people paying them. GreenPal is built to solve that problem on the fly. After the lawn care service gets done, they take a picture, they upload it, that goes to the consumer. They say, yeah, that looks great, push to pay. If they don't do anything, their card is billed from the lawn care service within 24 hours. So it's this thing that gets taken care of and cleared on a rolling basis. It's probably one of the biggest pain points we solve for these guys.
And I can see how they can scale, because lawn care is kind of like pool servicing in the fact that you can buy routes for 1x. Like you can buy routes for a 1 year's worth of a route, salary or revenue.
Totally.
The problem with it is in order to scale, you have to have two things. You have to have a great system of making sure you get paid and tracking and all that stuff, and then you have to be able to hire great people. You've solved the side of getting paid and tracking and having a system there for them. All they have to do now is make sure they can get spend time on creating training programs to keep and train great employees, and they can scale. They can scale as fast as they want. I see them all the time. I see routes for sale, because I'm always crawling through looking for businesses for sale. But I see pool cleaning service routes and lawn care routes for sale all the time, and they're usually 1x, 1.5x, a year's salary is what they're asking. I don't know what they actually sell for, because I haven't bought one. But so I could see where it would scale really fast, right?
Totally.
So,
yeah, that's what we're set up to do. And question that I get a lot is, are we going to go into other things like pool cleaning or home cleaning or home painting? And the reality is that there's so much white space just in this one industry. It's a $90 billion a year industry in the United States that we're just going to focus on just this one thing.
Awesome. What do you see as the long-term goal as you 3 years?
I want to get to 1 million people using it on a weekly basis for lawn mowing services. Right now, we're at around 300,000.
Okay.
And so I want to basically triple the business. And we're self-funded. We haven't taken on any outside capital. So that's kind of a good place to be. We're kind of in charge of our own destiny. And so, 1 million people every week using it. And I feel like we can get there within the next 3 to 5 years.
That's a great goal to have. Okay. Well, how do people reach out to you if they want to maybe, use your service, check it out, or maybe they bought a lawn care service and what you're doing can help them out? There's a lot of acquisition entrepreneurs who look for landscaping and lawn businesses. That's another thing. If you know of them that are looking for sale, like you have customers or clients that are wanting to get out of the business, I know a ton of people looking to buy them. So,
fantastic. I'll make sure I throw them your way. Yeah, anybody that doesn't want to mow their yard, just go to greenpal.com. You can sign up. Quotes are free.
Yep.
And anybody that's in the lawn mowing business or wants to be in the lawn mowing business, just go to greenpal.com and scroll to the bottom and click apply as a vendor.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time here today. I'll make sure that your contact information that you shared with me is in the show notes so people know how to reach out to you. And we'll wrap this up and call it a show.
Thanks, Ron. I enjoyed it.
It's fun. Hang out for just a minute, and we'll call that a show.
Awesome.
Sponsored by Dudilio. Buying or selling a small business? Assembling the right team is essential, and that's where Dudilio comes in. They work with individuals, independent sponsors, family offices, private equity firms, and small medium businesses, helping you build the perfect deal team for every stage of your acquisition or sale. And the best part, Dudilio's matching service is completely free. Visit Dudilio.com today and assemble your winning deal team.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.